Hey, good morning. Yeah. Hey, DB Puck. Yeah, I'm here. I was just checking out something. You have a second? All right. Let's see. We had charts. We got our charts. All right. So markets are up here a little bit here. We had the jobs report, and this thing's got a little extreme yesterday to the downside. Ideally, it would have been a gap down to that major support level this morning, but as you can see, it's gapping up halfway into that red bar. So a turn may be a little bit premature. However, we have our internals having reached an extreme at the end of the day yesterday. Now, you know, this leads, it gives us a heads up, just like it did back here when it reached an extreme and it said, risk is growing for longs. Well, now risk is growing for shorts and things that are down quite a bit. They're likely to start to begin to make a turn to some degree. Now, patterns like this do not make turns and they just rip right back up again. There's plenty of overhead congestion up here to deal with. Most times what happens is, and I don't know where today is going to end. None of us do. It still may go down here and test this lower level today, even though it's gapping up like it is. It could roll back over, of course, and come down here. Ideally, that is what would happen because a reversal pattern happening in the correct location is ideal. And coming all the way down to this low would be ideal. That's where this pivot low is. So we know it's in an area. It's already down a decent amount. We've had a little bit of a continuation pattern. So, as we go into this is monthly options expiration. It's the middle of the month. Those things, along with market internals reaching an extreme, would make sense for there to be some type of a reversal, an attempt to bounce up. And then ultimately, which we'll see next week, how far does that bounce? And then maybe the next leg down to some support level. Because most of the time what you get is a spike down and it comes up, and then you get a lower low and you get a little bit less bearish sentiment and better breath on the more significant low point. And as we have talked about, the weekly is still in an uptrend. So, coming down into this area, just looking at, uptrends and eyeballing size of pullbacks without any fancy measurements, protractors, VWAPs, Fibonacci's, Elliott waves, and any of that. Just visually, if you've seen pullbacks within uptrends, you know that somewhere in here, that level of retracement is typically where a turn begins to happen. Do you know where Venus today during the night? I'll actually joke about that, and I went to a trader coach seminar many, many years ago with Adrienne Tokrahe when I first met her. And there was a woman there that said she traded by the Swiss franc based on planetary alignments. And I was like, oh my God, this one's over the top, right? But she actually said it. I don't know if she did it profitably, but people do that crazy stuff, right? She traded the Swiss franc based on planetary alignments. So anyway, so we have an initial piece of information that we didn't have before on the way down that says some kind of a turn should be at hand. And we'll see how it plays out today. We had some relative strength shown yesterday in what led the way down. And you say, well, where was the relative strength? It was a down day. Well, it didn't break the low. Right? Semiconductors didn't break the low. It's got this big topping pattern, but it did show some relative strength. It is up here this morning. We've only got dots, but it's gapping up this morning. In the face of some negative news, You saw, China and Russia doing things with trying to push the dollar around, yet, and the dollar gap down today, probably on that news. You can see it's down here. Now it's up here, it's wiggling around, but it's up at the top of that resistance area. Interest rates are pushing up, which has been bearish. Market's kind of shaking that off. That's a 30-year, and here's the 10-year, shaking that off. And what else? The Russell, it looks like ultimately it's got it would tag the 200 MA down there, but you can see gapping up here a little bit now. I wouldn't be surprised, not at all, to see this get sold into right at the open and see it go down again. But as I'm already pointed out, we have to be thinking not to be so aggressive on the short side. And some things will go down, right, a bit more, and some will start to show relative strength. But we have our tools that are giving us some guidance here that we didn't have before today. Transports, right, they've had a pretty decent decline. They closed under the 50, under this pivot. So it's no longer an uptrend. Damage has been done. Anything I've said here is no reason to say, hey, let's get super bullish here. No, it's now to see how things develop over the coming days. Diamonds, thought they tagged that 50. Well, they're not, they may actually get down there. And they were showing relative weakness and they showed relative strength. So maybe they got to do a little catch up on the downside. And I would set an alert down there. I have an alert down there at that horizontal line, right on that, above that 50 MA. And you can see it's gapping up a little less than the other things that we looked at. So maybe that will go down. And United Healthcare, right, highest priced in the Dow, most influenced. So the fact that this is up a little bit is good, because that's getting clobbered this morning. CVS, I don't think that's a Dow stock, but that's getting clobbered this morning. S&Ps, down on that pivot. See a little bit of turn beginning to happen there. And Qs, broke down and look to the left. There's your other pivot low. Right? Pivot low there, and amazing how that's the real magic, right? It's not these moving averages, it's not the fibs, and it's not any of that esoteric stuff. It's just, hey, there were buyers there before and they turned it around, and buyers show up again. So if there's any magic in the market, that's it. Just looking over there. All right, SPX, 4365 area, should be a no-brainer. It's gapping up a little bit. Let me just look at that again. 4365, yeah, 80 by 85. No, I think it's a no-brainer. Gapping up, you got this support level here. It's down below there. Yesterday obviously put a scare, that it was going to go lower. So, the juice is a little further down there. And that 80 level still good? 44, no. 4460. Yeah, I didn't adjust my line. That's what I have written down here. 4460. I'm just trying to move it here, give or take. Probably doesn't get up there either, but I think this is the no-brainer. I mean, unless some news is already out this morning. Let's see, is there something coming at 10 o'clock at all? 10 o'clock. CB leading index, whatever that is. I don't no idea. Natural gas at 10:30. So I don't think anything of any significance there. And so interest rates are up. Let's just think this here. That's doing nothing. The 13-week. And no gold on support. This should start to make a turn. Silver is down there. Some buyers showing up there, as you can see. So this should start to make some kind of an advance, especially if the dollar now showing some weakness. Oil is up a little bit, look to the left, there's your pivot. Interesting. Bitcoin trying to make that turn there, and now breaking below these pivots. Oh, I don't know, not so sure what that's about, but clearly some bearish price action there in Bitcoin. Buyer, so you could see how the buyer stepped up yesterday. So anytime you've got pivot lows over there to the left, buyers are going to show up like a cat to a milk bowl. They're just going to show up there and give it a shot. And then we'll see how it goes. And now it's failing, so they sell. Now, unless this turns out to be a breakdown failure, this has got what we call a void. Big momentum move, a time sideways consolidation. And if this doesn't get turned around, that just opens up the door to a pretty substantial move. And I'm not so sure if it does that, what that implications are for the broader markets, but it's something that we're going to keep an eye on. That is for sure. And yeah, I think that's about it. Things are, down a bunch, coming towards some support. Would have been great if they would have gapped lower this morning and tagged those reference points. That would have been kind of a textbook exhaustion type of a gap. So now that things are gapping up a bit, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see sellers reemerge and push it back down, but we'll see. We'll see. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. We'll start with earnings. Open trades, alarms going off. Was this flex? We're still short. We've been in trail mode. So see, I had an alarm go off down here, 25.30 pre-market. I just said cover a third at the gap down. Now we're still in trail mode on Crocs. Beautiful short. Just let the stock take us out. Yeah, Greg mentioned UNH. Yeah, these things getting whacked. So these are beautiful call spread candidates, preferably on a little bounce. 273, that's even worse. CVS, yeah, I saw on the news that what Patrick posted there. Going to use Amazon. Oh, okay, Amazon's in the mix there too. I forgot about that. Yeah, but Mark Cuban was on talking about his new healthcare business. And I love it. I love competition. And I hate this industry personally because it just seems so damn greedy. It's just insurance rates go up and coverage gets worse. So I love competition. All right, earnings here. Walmart slopping all over the place, no pattern. Tapestry, that got whacked into earnings. Now it's down some more. Billy, 1590. Sloppy, but put spread, 30-minute high. Maybe day trade. Got a little pre-market buy set up here. See if it holds. Light, no pattern. Spartan. Spartan. Okay, gapping up here. No pattern though, but it's a buy setup. ACMR shows it at 46 cents. That's illiquid though. We'll come back. Tyson. It's not earnings, but I think I read they're selling something to China. This is actually a condor setup. Out of the money call spread over resistance, put spread down here somewhere, 51. So yeah, that's a nice condor. Chesapeake up $5. Now this was on my long watch list. If it opened flat or just up a little, but the gap's too big now. That would have been a home run if you bought options in the earnings. I mean, that's a good pattern to do a directional. I didn't check the premiums. I don't see any prints. The minder shows one down here at $22. I'm going to set an alarm at 23.10 because that's a sloppy buy setup or climactic buy setup. 23.10. Unless it's liquid pre-market, I don't trust it. Stone. Monthly's a big old bottoming pattern. If this closes near yesterday's high, then it's a 180 reversal. So we'll come back to that. Cisco. It's bullish. Daily, weekly, monthly. Watch your pullback. Maybe T48. All right, it's gap into this resistance here. But it is a pro gap because this isn't a downtrend on the daily. You know, I always like pointing out hypotheticals just so you know what's ideal. If this were gapping up here to 46.50, where I have the horizontal line, then 5-10 minute high would have been a beautiful entry for a day trade and a put spread because it's a nice shock just right over resistance, downside shakeout. Okay, E looks like it's just gonna continuation lower. Synopsis, it's still liquid, but if it's gapping over yesterday's high, there's a nice put spread candidate. I'm gonna put that in the bottom right here. That's a beautiful 10-minute high put spread. Wolf getting whacked, $44. Ideally, he'll keep going lower to 40. I'm gonna put that in another window. Dash here, I have an alarm, buy setup, bullish turn. I have an alarm at 80.20. So that's it with earnings. Cost, it's an M top. Look at the 20 MA flattened out. You know, as Greg said, though, if the internals are getting cooked, this is more of an igniting place where you would want to do this when the market has started to sell off. Yeah, we'll watch these three. Meta here, look at this was earnings. This all started with a breakout failure. But look at this monthly as a climb-o. Same comment though, that we should have been in a nice place to have entered. This would have been right here, this little bear flag. Right on that day, right there would have been a good entry. But I think that's kind of the long-term, intermediate term top. This HE I've been watching, this is Hawaiian Electric. And it is just, you know, getting devastated with the lawsuits, with those unfortunate fires out there in Maui. I actually had a naked put on that yesterday, but I closed it at 50% of max profit. That was a nice exit. And Inox, now this is a power downtrend. That's just institutional slow dumping. So the question is, it's a bullish gap today. Is this going to close with a something bullish reversal? Oh, really? Yeah, that's pretty serious then. Place buy setup at the 50, gapping up. That's a put spread candidate. XPEV, I see here, gap, what's today, Thursday, gap number Tuesday's high. I would be all over this setup, but guess what? I went through my checklist and it's earnings tomorrow. So that vetoes it. But that's a nice, so keep it on your list for a day trade though. Gapping over this red bar with a void, 30-minute high, that would be ideal. C-Web is the Chinese internet stocks I see here up a bit. So that has some room. You might want to check individual Chinese stocks. Baba gapping up here to that resistance. I do maybe day trade. And Baba is a better pattern. JD, nothing. So Baba maybe 30-minute high put spread for tomorrow if there's any juice. And a couple others here is watching from yesterday. Look at this UCAR. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I have an alarm. I think it's 6:40. Stavros light. Yeah, I looked at light already. I didn't see anything. Gap below. Well, the gap below, yeah, was yesterday. Today's earnings. And notice how it was a bearish gap filling the gap. So I for starters, I wouldn't touch that unless it took out a 30-minute low. Just a couple other miscellaneous ones here. DFS got whacked on Tuesday. Southeast, I've been watching. This is medical instruments, WST, GNRC made the turn. See if we can get some type of retest here for a double bottom. And then it would be a put spread for next week. Neo. Yeah, there's another one. You know, probably move a little bit when XPEV earnings, but sure, let's put it on the list. SOUN. I mentioned yesterday is a 1, 2, 3. RSG. Call spread candidate. It's a nasty and engulfing on earnings. SPGC. This is this IPO we were talking about yesterday. It's hard to see the daily chart because this bar is slammed on the left. But this thing went from $4 to 28 back to 4. That is one wild ride. Rock. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4. I got an alarm. 497.50. D-Dog put spread candidate. FRPT is bullish. Daily, weekly, monthly. We just got to work our entry. Charlie X-ray was a nice 1, 2, 3 yesterday. Gapping up from this buy setup. This maybe 10-minute high if the market's holding. That ain't bad. Expedia is a bear 1, 2, 3. I have an alarm at 107. Roku, I'm watching this for 4 long. We got our buy set up. We got our bottoming tail retest. We have a buy set up weekly. We have a wide range breakout monthly. That looks great. Asian could be a continuation day trade short. I mean, look at this 15-minute chart. That's a beautiful day trading short chart. So if it's opening up a few pennies here and the market starts to turn, just short yesterday's low. Stop over this 15-minute base. ABC closing breakdown, gapping down. That's a 30-minute low short. Let me also check call spread. I think I did yesterday. Yeah, tomorrow is the monthly options expiration. And so that means, a lot of these, we like selling shorter dated options. And this one doesn't have weeklies. Dash, we just mentioned. All right, I'm about done here. It's 9:28, 5 and another one making the turn, and I like that it's gapping down. So I'm going to set an alarm, 72. TRMB, it was bullish consolidation, but now I'm deleting you. And that's it. I'm done with my interest list. Take a look at some fangs. Microsoft, it's just steady selling downtrend. Amazon, we'll see where it reverses. That's held up pretty darn well. This is a call spread candidate under yesterday's low, Google. Netflix, we had a nice call spread on that. Now it's gapping down, even with the market gapping up. We said yesterday this was a short candidate or long puts, and also a new call spread candidate. Cisco, yeah, I said it was up. I said I like it on a pullback. You just got to figure out what pattern that you're comfortable with, but it's bullish, daily, weekly, monthly, sure. Yeah, Tesla, nasty, no turn yet. I might have ELF alarm. That was a call spread watch, but I looked yesterday. It also does not have weeklies. So Dash looks great here. This looks really good. Synopsis bottom right. See the gap. All right, so Dash. Let's just see how it sets up. Wow, look at that, 40,000 volume already within a few seconds. So Dash, I'll put on a different window, looks great. Mr. Yeah, we had a put spread on that Tuesday. Just unfortunately traded over Monday's high, but we stopped out yesterday. But yeah, with Bitcoin week, look at Riot. That's an ugly sell-off. Mara, but it's CLSK. All right, we have a half lot of this. All right, Q's reversed. Netflix, Tesla, the weakest on the 15. I see Cisco rallying on earnings. All right, Dash got slammed into the gap, and that's what you don't want to see. Kind of like coin yesterday was on my bullish gap list, and see how that got slammed down. So we'll cancel. That was a 30-minute high idea yesterday. Yeah, it still is. That's how it's posted, Alex. Agreeing. I still like it. Yep. I have an alarm. Actually, I'll set an alarm at 81 now because I like early alarms, as you know. All right, Crocs short, moving lower, looks great. 95.42. This has been fairly easy to manage. Oh, Crocs.